Hey there geeks and geekettes, it's Mass Movement Review time. Ooh. So as I said, this is a Mass Movement review for Parish, which is published by Boom Studios. It's written by Cullen Bunn with artwork by Jonas Scharf and colours by Alex Guimeras, this guy, because I'm used to pronouncing names, and the lettering is by Ed Dukeshire. A new drug is sweeping through the streets of New Orleans, one made from the ashes of the dead. Wars are being fought over who will control the supply, and the demand only rises. While the various criminal factions collide, users begin to experience terrifying visions of the dead coming back to life through them. Yeah, there's a drug that people are snorting, made from the ashes of the dead. Yeah. This book is a 4-part story, and as you can see, this is a reviewer copy. So yeah, it revolves around a brand new designer drug called Ash, which is obviously unlike anything else on the market because it's created from human remains. It allows the user to feel the experiences of the dead, which is kind of a cool effect of a drug. It also offers like an utterly addictive trip with almost limitless possibilities of what you could see. I'll get into the effects a little bit later. So this volume introduces a family called the Winters family, and the family are responsible for the drug's creation and distribution. But as the popularity of the drug grows, so does interest from their enemies or potential enemies and business rivals who want to capitalize on the drug. So this book kind of reads as a detective, a horror comic book hybrid. But the series shines when we are viewing the effects of the drugs. As a narrative, the drug itself, it creates some brilliant effects and brilliant storytelling, and each character that takes the drugs have different sort of hallucinations based on whose ashes they're using. So it does sort of give you a sense of excitement, because you never know when somebody takes a drug what is going to happen. So long term, that in itself could provide years and years worth of storytelling. And if this book continues on in other volumes, then it could be quite the book. It's not like anything else I've read. Obviously, it's an endless supply of content for the writers, and the artists' sort of imagination is the limit of where this could go. So basically, the user of this drug, they gain the experience and memories and final memories of the person who has been used to create whatever they are taking. And this leads to some really cool sort of storytelling engines. For example, there is a scene in a graveyard where a member of the Winters family gets attacked, and to get himself out of the situation, he snorts the sort of chemically changed remains of a Marine, and then the guy is a sharpshooter through the memories of the sharpshooter to get himself out of the situation. It is it's pretty cool. It sort of reminds me of Limitless, where the guy takes the tablet that makes him really intelligent. It's that kind of thing, but much darker. Also, people are snorting the remains of their loved ones, because then they can interact with their loved ones through hallucinations. They can seek advice off them, and yeah, this book is. I've read some dark books lately, but this is quite possibly the darkest that I've read. So, what I'm trying to say is that the effects of the drug can keep these stories continuing, and as long as the artist and the writers have got the imagination that they've shown in this, there's an endless supply of content for them to delve into. So Bunn uses the drug in the novel to draw the reader in, because you are constantly going to be guessing the potential of the drug and the drug uses, because the mind is the limit. Also, deepening the story is the cadavers, the human corpses, because they've got to come from somewhere. So this leads to grave robbing. The family and their employees are basically grave robbing or conducting grave robberies on a steal to order basis. So if I was in the world of this book and I wanted to have an hallucination that I was the biggest rock star on the planet, I would tell this family which rock star I wanted to be. They would go out, dig up the corpse, do whatever they do to it to make the chemicals, and then that would pretty much be the outcome of the hallucination, if I didn't take too much. Because if you take too much, things go quite wrong. Unfortunately, the trip moments in the book are not used as often as I would like for them to have been used. It's just enough, but because there's so little of it, it sort of far outshines the family dynamic and the gangland and cartel threat, the police, the Winter family. They're all fleshed out well enough, but you can't wait to sort of get back to the drug and the grave robbing. It's the exciting part of the book, as odd as that is to hear myself say. But in saying that, the family story and the sort of the criminal empire story of the book is good enough to keep you in. But when they switch to the Ash, the book really does shine. It becomes something else. And what could be a typical crime family drug story is turned into something else entirely. It's borderline horror. It's straight up horror in places. So obviously, speaking of the writers and the artists, Shaft's artwork on this book is outstanding. It is now the real world is sort of this grim, dark, sort of neutral coloured sort of effect, and you know, it's exactly what you'd expect. And that's cool in itself, because this is the darkest thing I've ever read. But then there's some hallucinations, and the hallucinations do this. Obviously, as I said earlier, about a rock star, that's what this guy has done. So that when the hallucinations take over, you're never unsure, because they're so bright. It's the exact opposite of the dirty, grimy and sleazy aesthetic of the book, whereas the hallucinations of the story are always so bright. The rest of the book, away from the trips, takes place indoors or in sort of darkness, and then this flip side neon haze, it really does throw the book in a really good way. It doesn't take you out of the book, because you know it's a drug induced effect. And to draw it that well for people that don't understand drugs, maybe, you know, it just so they can tell the difference, it's just done really well. Obviously this isn't for children. The trips seem to be some sort of different world, but now and again the different world and the neon haze of the drugs is broken up by real world events that are happening at the same time. like the real world effects of the drug. If somebody takes too much of this, the hallucination becomes a straight up horror show, and they get ripped apart by what they think are sort of zombies or corpses of the people that have been used in making this drug. And because this happens in the real world, you'll get a sort of juxtaposition between the two worlds. And I'm guessing it's to show the horrific sort of aftermath of using such a horrific ingredient and getting high and knowing what you're taking, because the people that take it are aware that there's dead people in the drugs. So the previously mentioned grave digging to order does add a further sense of dread to the book as well as you're reading, because you can't help but feel you're observing something really wrong and really sinister and disgusting. It's one of the most heinous crimes, grave robbing to make drugs. There is an intriguing relationship between the Winters family, and perhaps all is not as it seems with all the relatives, but I won't spoil it for you. So the book is it's well paced enough to keep you wanting to read more. There is enough cliffhangers to bring you back to the next part of the story, and the fourth book ends especially well. Does an incredible job of luring you into this world with, you know, sort of a brilliant a brilliant pace, and a climatic showdown. So, is it any good? Well, yeah, it's very, very good. The necromancing drug is brilliant. It's a brilliant original concept that disgusts. There are no characters in this book with any redeemable qualities at all, and it's quite hard to write a book with such horrible sort of characters in there and to keep a reader interested. I think Sons of Anarchy, where there's a lot of characters in Sons of Anarchy that have no redeemable qualities, even the protagonists, yet you're still drawn in and rooting for them. So this book, in that sense, kind of goes that way, where, yeah, these are not nice people, but you are hooked. So as the drug grows in popularity, so does the outside world wanting to get involved. Cartels and businessmen that are shady businessmen, I should say. And they all want to muscle in and become more dangerous. So long term, this is more that can get added into the story. Do I have any negatives? Yeah. Nothing major, but the selling point of this book is the ash. I mean, here we go. There's a big human skull made of powder, being ready to chuck up your nose. And to me, that the ash is almost sidelined because of the family dynamic and the criminal empire dynamic. And I know that sounds weird, that I'm almost sounds like I'm complaining about character arc, but it's just the drug component, when these guys are hallucinating, it is done so well that sometimes it feels like there's too many pages between each sort of hallucination and drug use. Maybe that's why people get addicted to drugs. So the crime drama element is, I mean, it's really good, but it doesn't feel quite as strong as when the drug is in use, which I'm guessing is the whole point of it. And the story itself wouldn't be a bad book without the drug, or showing the drug element. This could just be a crime story and take the horror and what the drug is out of it, and you could have a decent enough story. But this just is sort of the icing on the cake, and it does seem to take a bit of a backstory, even though that's what the front cover is on, but I don't want that to sound as negative as it is sounding. So, Bone Parish to me is an 8.5 out of 10. I can't wait to see where else this story will go and how else the drug will be used. I mean, could they use it for some sort of chemical warfare as a weapon? Yeah. Once other people start getting involved, or other people start trying to create their own version of it, what sort of horrific things could happen then? So yeah, I'm quite excited about where this book will go. So guys, that's my mass movement review of Boom Studios' Bone Parish Volume 1. If you've read the book, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Please check out Mass Movement in the description. And I'll see you all guys soon for more reviews or unboxings. Thanks for tuning in. I've been your Bearded Geek. Goodbye.